Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What kind of slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all.
Will you sit down? Hey man, I'm just trying to support the team.
Will you sit down? You're disturbing everybody. Sit down.
Oh yeah, because you're a Rangers fan and you know I'm messing with their heads.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toadstool Sports. It is Thursday, December 18th. Thanks for coming back, everybody. Jeffrey, what's up? Mr. Pinsey, what's up? Garrett, what's up? Hell yeah. NBA prop parlay? All right, hell yeah. Again, I don't know anything about the props, but good for you, man. Hell yeah. We're going to have a bunch of plays, Sam. It's a bigger board than I thought, although I don't really like the college basketball board. I got one play over there. I do have a play in the NFL game, like I said. NHL, I do have a couple there. I got a couple of NBA, and I'm really trying to be selective in the NBA because I have a lot of opinions on the NBA board today, so hopefully I'm choosing the right ones out of all of those. That's what I'll say about that. We won on the show yesterday. Depending on one of the numbers that you got, you either went 4-2 or 4-2-1. We got the win on UCF covering. They won by about 18, so they covered all the numbers that were out there. 14.5 was pretty prominent out there. Texas Southern, right after I did the show, I went into lock in the plays, the numbers, whatever. I found 36 on that, so that wound up being a push for me. I mean, it dropped after that. It dropped back down to the 34.5, 33.5. Almost none of the numbers covered, though. They were losing that game by 50 with 7 minutes left. I mean, they were in the game at halftime, too. It was, ridiculous. They were within, they were definitely covering. They were losing by, 16 or something at halftime. I'm like, all right. Then all of a sudden I looked at down 50 points. I'm like, well, they're not going to cover. And then I don't know what happened, but NC State must have just left the building or something. And then Texas Southern scored a ton of points in garbage time at the end, and they pushed for me on the 36. But, I mean, it was a winning day for everybody regardless. We got the win on Nichols. That was a nice win. They won and covered. Hockey, kind of pissed about the Kings result. I mean, they were up 1-0, and then they fell behind, and obviously they could not get the job done, losing by 1. I mean, at an underdog price like that, I think it was the right move. They were in the game for the most part. They outplayed Florida statistically in some ways. It was close, but they had more shots. They won more of the faceoffs. They were the less physical team. And then, of course, we know what I was just referring to with that opener. We got the win on the Devils. Outright win as an underdog with the New Jersey Devils.
Don't mess with the devil, buddy. We're number 1. We beat anybody. We're the Devils. The Devils. Diablo. Dios mío. El diablo.
Yes, don't mess with the Devils. When I picked them, they came through for us on that one. And then we did win in the bowl game as well, in the Cure Bowl. I was correct about both bowls yesterday, so there you go. Didn't want to give out a play on the Delaware one. Delaware almost blew it. Delaware they got a little bit lucky, man. I will say that. The Old Dominion one was basically no doubt. Like South Florida, their offense was just, they were just not there, man. I mean, their head coach had left, their OC had left, their quarterback was on the sidelines calling the plays. Their offense was very discombobulated. I know, as I mentioned yesterday, Old Dominion's quarterback was out as well. This is what you get with these bowls, man. But the rest of the team was there. They run the football better, so pretty much never in doubt. That was a cover and outright win for Old Dominion. And then Delaware won, but they did get a little bit lucky, even though they were winning the game 20-3. Statistically, the game was pretty close. Louisiana had a ton of turnovers, including an interception in the end zone when they were about to retake the lead, I think, or about to take the lead, I guess, really early in the game. Interception in the end zone. They had 3 turnovers, I think, in the game at least. But whatever. We move on to today. We have another bowl that I'll talk about tonight that I don't really love. It's a weird bowl, but I will talk about it anyway. I have a small opinion on it. I don't know what else to say about yesterday. We got to get into today, though. No, I talked about that yesterday. The Blues, they're in a playoff revenge scenario. I mentioned that yesterday multiple times. I said that I leaned to the Blues yesterday. It didn't make the cut as far as my plays, though. However, a game involving the might tonight, you play the props. Yeah, you know more about that than I do, man. No, Mr. Pins, you had 35.5. Oh, God. Your friends got 36.5. Hell yeah. It was 36 like right after I finished the show. I don't think I saw the 36.5. It shouldn't have mattered, to be honest. Really, we all should have lost, to be honest. I mean, the fact that it got back close to that number was kind of ridiculous with the way that game went. I mean, again, they were losing by like more than 50 points down the stretch. So I thought there was no way that they were going to even come close. Props, pretty much, yeah. So props, like, a lot of recreational bettors do it now. So the books are having to like fine tune those props more. But yeah, because there are just so many players to pay attention to, the books can't really like do it. You know what I mean? So you could definitely find more edges there if you do it. It's just not the way that I do things. Although I give out props in the Super Bowl, though, of course, those are the most fine tuned numbers. So they're the hardest props to beat. But it also is a little bit easier because there are certain props in the Super Bowl, like the ones that I gave out this past Super Bowl. We hit every prop that I gave out in the Super Bowl this year. And like it was one where you can like find props where the public just goes the completely wrong way with some of these props. There are ones that I play in every single Super Bowl because they work out way more often than they don't, and the public doesn't understand how to play those particular props. So I do things like that. But yeah, where you definitely still get better numbers on those because of the public influence in the Super Bowl. You've been eating. You mean you're eating good, like you're winning, or you mean you're eating it and losing? I don't know which. All right, let's get into today, man. I don't want this show to take too long. I had to start it a little bit later than sometimes I do because there are just too many games. But college basketball is just really, it's not that interesting to me today, man. We do have a game coming up at 11 a.m. at Charleston between North Florida and Charleston Southern. I assume this is a home game for Charleston Southern, although I'm not even 100% sure about that because there is a neutral site game at 5 p.m. here. But, or I guess, yeah, it is neutral, yeah. This North Florida one is at Charleston Southern. I just don't have much to say about this. North Florida's coming off having to go to Gonzaga, then Dayton. They weren't very close in either game, but having to do all that travel can kind of take its toll. They do have a big game against Miami on deck, which is an in-state bigger brother, of course. So I don't love North Florida in this spot, although it almost looks too easy to lay points with a Charleston Southern team that has a way better record. I mean, North Florida, they do suck. But they also have not won on the road. Charleston Southern is undefeated at home. Charleston Southern just bombed in-state little brother South Carolina State by 40 points, but I don't know. I wouldn't really want to step in front of Charleston Southern. However, they do play Furman next, and I believe Furman is also in South Carolina. You can correct me if I'm wrong about that. Well, I can just look. I believe they are. If I have everything straight here, yeah, they're in Greenville, South Carolina. So that is actually a big game on deck for Charleston Southern. They consider Furman to be like an in-state bigger brother, I believe. So I mean, as far as this game, I would probably lay the points, but I don't want to touch it at all. So again, I just am talking about the game to talk about it, gauge the strength appropriately. This one is not strong at all. Charleston Southern, it's not one of my plays, clearly. Down from 11 to 10.5, 84% of the tickets and 85% of the cash on them right now, but I don't really see the public getting involved in this game, so I think the percentage there is probably just professional money for the most part on that. But then again, the books kind of need that to lose if they want to win money on that one. You're eating prime rib, or prime rid, meaning you have to get rid of the prime rib because you don't have enough money. No, that's good, man. Yeah, keep eating. We have a weird 5 p.m. tip-off between Hampton and Jackson State in Georgia for whatever reason. College Park, Georgia. So this is a neutral site game. Jackson State's in Jackson, Mississippi. Hampton is in Virginia, I believe. So I don't know what's going on with this game. I think it's actually one of the, the historical black college, I don't know, something. It's something to do with the black colleges, just like the Celebration Bowl that kicked off bowl season. Hampton, they're coming in after playing another one of those schools, losing to Howard, which busted up a win streak for them. So I could see that maybe lingering and hanging them over into this game. Jackson State, nobody's going to want Jackson State as a 1-9 team. Yeah, this is the Toyota Chris Paul HBCU Classic. So pretty much what I said. For Jackson State, I mean, they've faced a gauntlet, man. So they're not as bad. Like, this is just like I was talking about last year with Jackson State. Like, I was talking about how you were going to get some value on them once conference play started because their out-of-conference schedule is unbelievably difficult. So it's going to influence their record, obviously. They're actually not one of the worst teams in the SWAC, even though it looks like they are right now. I mean, they've played Illinois, Louisville, Auburn, Arkansas, Houston, Northwestern, all on the road. I mean, like, come on, man. There's absolutely no let-up in this schedule, except they did get a win against Louisiana, also on the road. Jackson State has played one home game in the mix, and they did lose. This game not being at home, but they're coming off another 40-point loss. I don't know, man. I think there might be some value to be had on Jackson State in that game. Probably I would take the points. The line's down from 8 to 7 on that one. It's a low total. It's up to 139, but kind of makes more sense to take the points. I mean, I think you're probably going to be getting value on a 1-9 team that has faced a ridiculously tough schedule. So that's how I look at that. That previous game I talked about at Charleston Southern is a high total, by the way. Fairly high, 164. So it kind of makes sense to maybe lean towards laying it in that one. What's scheduling? Jackson State, they're getting a ton of money probably. That's how it works in college, like football, basketball. Those big teams are paying Jackson State to play them early in the season. Like that, I think that's what happens. So yeah, like the big teams get like a cakewalk in the mix there, and Jackson State gets to battle test themselves, and they get to make a ton of money by doing it. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah, Jackson State, they're D1. They're D1 in football as well, though they're in FCS, not FBS, but a lot of times they're in that Celebration Bowl that we talked about. They didn't make it this year, but a lot of times they are in that one. Jackson State's football team was coached by Deion Sanders until he went to Colorado. Yes, they have a basketball team. Yep. It's actually good. It's like the Tom Izzo approach, right? Like Tom Izzo intentionally schedules really difficult opponents early in the season because he wants to battle test his team, which is why a lot of times once the season starts going, Michigan State's like an undervalued commodity because they're just really battle tested and they have more losses than what, like the amount of losses make them look worse than what they actually are. But yeah, Jackson State is doing that, although we'll see what happens with Jackson State. Like they might not make, like they have to win their conference to even get into the tournament. And even if they do, they're going to be like one of those first 4 teams, you know what I mean? Playing to get one of the 16 seeds. I mean, that's how bad their conference is. Coastal Carolina and App State. Coastal Carolina is like a Myrtle Beach team, I believe, but this is still a battle of the Carolinas. App State is in Boone, North Carolina, which is where this game is, since they've recovered from that hurricane. But App State, they're coming off a huge win over High Point. High Point really good over the last couple of years, man. A very, very good offense with High Point, and App State was able to upset them. App State was a home underdog in that game, and now they're coming off of that, so it could be a letdown for App State. So I somewhat lean to Coastal in this one. Coastal is playing like a fourth straight road game here, though, and they did just have to go into Arizona in their last game and play Grand Canyon, and that was after Coastal pulled off an upset of Winthrop, which I think was an in-state little brother, big brother situation there. I believe Winthrop is in South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, right? I feel like I'm saying that all day. Yeah, they're in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So Coastal's kind of been through it as well in these recent games, so I can't really get there with that one. I probably slightly lean towards taking the points with Coastal, but I'm not going to do it. You're getting, it's now up to 4.5 on App State. Total's at 135.5, so it's a low total if you do want to take the points there. Scoring is expected to be at a little bit of a premium in that one. So that's that game. 20 minutes away from Boone. Well, I hope you, obviously you survived the hurricane. You're alive. Hopefully it was not too horrible for you, man. All right, what other games that I want to talk about here? I think Radford is kind of an undervalued commodity, man. Like I talked about how they were underperforming early in the season. Ken Baum has them like near the bottom of his luck index, which means that they're better than what their record looks. I mean, they've had games where they've just really underperformed, and they've had to face some pretty good teams in here too. So I do expect Radford, especially once conference play starts, Radford, there's probably going to be some value on them. There might be some value on them here too. I mean, they've kind of righted the ship against some really bad teams like St. Francis, PA, even though St. Francis, New York no longer exists. St. Francis, PA, by the way, they did get obliterated by Florida. I think Florida won by 60 or so yesterday, so Florida did cover that 45-point spread or whatever. But Radford beat that St. Francis team. They beat Coppin State. I mean, nothing to really get overconfident about, you know what I mean? But it will just like give you back your confidence after you started off the season poorly. You beat some bad teams, you know, now you have some momentum. So I think Radford might be the way to look here against a William and Mary team that I think is overperforming at 8-3. So William and Mary just took a loss after they hadn't lost since really early in the season. They'd won 6 games in a row, and then they lost to George Washington. You know, I talk about when a team loses, sometimes it'll hang them over when they lose a long win streak like that. And George Washington, a team that you get up for too. So Radford would be the way I would look in that game. They're an 8-point dog in that one. The total is really, really high though, up to 173. It's a crazy high total, which, I mean, needless to say, both of these teams play at a fast tempo. I mean, you don't even need to look at Ken Baum to know that. I mean, the odds makers are just telling you that, but it is the case. Both of those teams play really fast. So if you like offense, you can find that game on stream probably somewhere, even though it's not even on ESPN Plus. Dude, how does ESPN ignore that game? Like, that game's going to be a fun game to watch probably. I don't know. All right. I don't know. Some of these games, I just don't. Yeah. I mean, if you want me to talk about some of the games I haven't talked about, I will, but that sucks, man. Yeah. Businesses got destroyed. Dude, it was like the COVID lockdowns again, except, in this case, there was no control over it, whereas the COVID lockdowns were, human interaction that was completely unnecessary. At least this was a natural disaster, so it was something you couldn't actually prevent. But yeah, I mean, it ruins the businesses. Yeah, that sucks, dude. And then you had FEMA and whatever going in there and fucking it up even worse. Like, the real heroes in that situation were the non-government people that were actually in there helping and whatever. Some of them got arrested too, like just for trying to help people, which is ridiculous. Because you're not allowed to do the government's job better than they do it, man. That's just not allowed. Yes, sir. I appreciate you for hanging out. Thank you. Radford, yeah, they looked all right against North Carolina the other night, although North Carolina was in a spot where they were probably going to kind of overlook them. Yeah, there's cloud seeding going on. They're controlling the weather, man. Let's not get this channel nuked. All right, we have Delaware State and St. Joe's is interesting because I think St. Joe's, I mean, I was going to say St. Joe's should be in a spot where you'd want to lay the points because Delaware State is in a really bad spot is what I wanted to say. They pulled off 2 big upsets in a row, man. They beat their in-state big brother, Delaware, who Delaware sports is on the rise, man. I mean, they almost won this conference last year. They were in the tournament, I think, one of the recent years in basketball. They just made a bowl in football in their first year in FBS. They won the bowl last night in the Ventures Bowl. Big win for Delaware State over Delaware, man. Even though Delaware's not that good in basketball this year, that was still a big upset. Delaware State is not good. Let's just put it that way. And then Delaware State did beat Longwood in their last game, which I talked about yesterday. Longwood was a correct side yesterday, by the way, though, for Saab. And that was the one that I left off my card. And, of course, it was an easy cover. They almost beat Wake outright yesterday. So I'm kind of mad about it. But, when you do this and you're really selective, you're going to have games like that where you're absolutely right, but you didn't play it. It's just the way that it is. But Delaware State now off of 2 straight upsets, and now they're going to go up to Philadelphia. I was looking to maybe fade Delaware State because I just don't love that at all. Don't love the spot. Delaware State's actually been really bad on the road for the most part, too. But St. Joe's just played Syracuse almost to the wire, dude, so I just don't think I could do it. St. Joe's not really in a good spot here either after a big game for them against one of the big boys, only losing by 8, and they were within like 4 or 5 points pretty late in that game. So I just can't get there with it, man. People are also maybe going to notice that there's a common opponent in here between the two, which was, was there? Maybe I'm wrong. No, I thought there was a common opponent here. I guess I'm wrong about that. I was going to say, I thought there was a common opponent where St. Joe's it was Syracuse. What am I saying? Yeah, so Delaware State lost to Syracuse early in the season by 40 points. St. Joe's only lost by 8, so people might look at that and think, oh yeah, St. Joe's is going to blow out Delaware State here. But, it's obvious that St. Joe's is the better team. That's no secret. I would probably still lay the points in this one if I was going to play it, which it looks like the money is in agreement on that. They're up from 17.5 to 19.5 now. It's headed towards 20, so there's already value being missed here, potentially. 67% of tickets on Delaware State, 52% of the cash on St. Joe's. Total is low, though, at 140, so I kind of worry about it, although we're kind of expecting Delaware State to really struggle offensively in that game. So I do think St. Joe's does win the game by margin, but I don't want to do anything with it. And then, I don't know. If you want me to talk about any of these other games, like I said, I will. I do have one play in here somewhere, which, let me do that now because it's coming up right now. All right, best bets. Let's do it. All right, and I apologize for my sinuses too, but we're gonna get real ugly today, man. The NBA plays are ridiculously ugly. This one is hideous. We're gonna be on Louisiana plus 12.5 against Southern Miss. Louisiana, they're an awful team. I know, everybody knows it. They're horrible. 1-10. They're mostly horrible offensively. Their schedule hasn't been exactly easy. They had McNeese on the road. They were decent against Tulane at home. They had to play Stanford, Santa Clara on the road. They had to play 3 straight games on the Pacific Coast. They lost to Jackson State. Those guys, again, they played pretty well, actually, against UNC Wilmington. UNC Wilmington is a good team, the best team in the Colonial. Louisiana wasn't bad in that game, so, their schedule hasn't exactly been easy. And now they're coming off just a really, really horrific-looking loss where they only scored 44 points against Louisiana Tech. I think they're going to be in a better spot here to play a little bit better here, man, after you have just a horrendous offensive performance. The only way to really go is up from here, even though I know, as I said, their offense is terrible. But we're taking points here, and their defense is good enough that their defense is actually not that much worse than Southern Miss. So there's a huge disparity in the offense. Yeah, and that's obviously we know Southern Miss is the better team, and it's all pretty much the offense that's way better for Southern Miss. The defenses are actually almost comparable if you look at KenPom. But this game, no one is going to be coming in on Louisiana here, but I'm going to do it, and it mostly has to do with the spot that Southern Miss is in. Southern Miss, we got a win with them, if you remember, on Saturday. We took them against Ole Miss. Ole Miss was in a bad spot. That was a huge game for Southern Miss because they're playing the big boy in the state of Mississippi, obviously. And the game was a neutral game that was in Biloxi, which was closer to Southern Miss. So I think Southern Miss, their fans showed up for that one, man. And Ole Miss is overrated. They're down this year, even though they're an SEC team, whatever. They get this hype. They made the tournament last year. They made a nice run to, I think they made it to the Sweet 16 last year, if I remember correctly. Maybe they might have made the Elite Eight. No, I think it was the Sweet 16, whatever it was. They're Chris Beard coached, that Ole Miss team. There's a lot going for them as far as what they've done in the recent years, but I think they're in a down year this year, and they play really, really slow. So that was a game you just had to come in on Southern Miss there. And not only did Southern Miss cover, they could have won the game outright, man. So now Southern Miss is coming off a monster game against their biggest brother in the state, and they had chances to potentially win this game. They were within 4 points in the closing minutes of the game, and they only lost by 4. So, yeah, I mean, coming off of that, I think they're going to be in a huge hangover spot after such a huge performance. And I know this is their conference opener, so normally I wouldn't want to fade a team in their conference opener. It is the conference opener for both teams. You're asking Southern Miss to lay a lot of points, and this is a game where there's not going to be a lot of points, most likely, in this game. Both offenses play slow. Both teams play slow, I should say. For Southern Miss, they just have bigger games coming up, man. They got Arkansas State after this, and Arkansas State is one of the top teams in the Sun Belt over the last couple of years, looking like they are again, so that could be a look ahead as well. That's a bigger game. And then LSU is on deck after that for Southern Miss, so I see this as a flat spot, a sandwich spot, even though it's the conference opener at home. I just don't see them covering it, man. So, yeah, we're going to go with Louisiana, the team that nobody is going to want at all. There they are. They used to be Louisiana Lafayette. Really low total at 132. So this game is expected to be ugly, which means taking the points, probably the way to go. Again, at least you have comparable defenses here. 12.5 is the number right now. Number hasn't really moved much, so that's my one play in college basketball. The Ragin' Cajuns, baby. After they lost in football last night, we're going to take their basketball team. Zach, thank you, sir. Leaving me a comment on Spotify. Hell yeah, Dirty Sock, what's up? Wait, who beat the Tar Heels? Oh, Mississippi. Yeah, I lost a play on that. I think I had a bet that I gave out on my show on North Carolina in that game. I loved the setup for North Carolina, and they had to make a huge comeback in the game to tease me and then still lose. And I had North Carolina winning it in my bracket as well, obviously. So wasn't happy about that. But, yeah, I had them beating Ole Miss in my bracket. I mean, UNC, yeah, I mean, they're on the way back up for sure, but they're not going to be one of those teams where they're under the radar anymore with the way that they've been playing, Louisiana, what do you mean? The Louisiana game that I just gave out is 12.5 is like a prominent number out there right now, if that's what you mean. Last night they went off as like a 2-point favorite last night against Delaware. If you mean the Ventures Bowl last night, Delaware won and covered that. All right, and then I was eyeing this Tennessee State UT Martin game. Tennessee State, I mean, the spot that they're in, they just upset UNLV in Las Vegas. I mean, that is ridiculous. That was a huge upset. I mean, they had to have been double-digit underdogs in that game. Even though UNLV isn't that great this year, Tennessee State, they're not good, and that was just crazy for them to go on the road, catch UNLV like that, and pull off a ridiculous upset. Now they're coming back off of that, and they do have SEMO up next, which is a team that's usually better in this conference in the Ohio Valley. SEMO won it, I think, maybe 2 years ago or something like that. So they're not to be overlooked either. Now, is Tennessee State going to overlook Tennessee Martin, though? I don't know, because they're both Tennessee teams. UT Martin's actually off to a good start, sitting at 8-3. So they have actually the best overall record in this conference right now, prior to conference play actually starting. So even though I think this is looking like a major letdown spot here, I am going to be worried about I worry about fading Tennessee State a little bit here in this one. And, of course, if you like UT Martin here, it almost looks too easy, right? Because you'd be taking points with the team with the better record. So I don't love doing that usually, even though sometimes I will, obviously, if I think it's a very strong situation. But there's got to be a reason. Like, why is Tennessee State at 6-4 laying points? You know what I mean? The odds makers are telling you they're actually the better team. Now, if I was going to play this, I would still fade Tennessee State, though, because I think the situation trumps all that. UT Martin hilariously also won at UNLV to kick off the season, which is ridiculous. But they're in a better spot here, man. They're coming off beating whoever this non-Division I team is, Champion Christian, no idea. So the spot does set up better for UT Martin after coming off an easy bounce-back win over a non-D1 team. So that is still what I would do in that game. I would take UT Martin in that game. Tennessee State's down from 3.5 to 3. So the money looks like it's agreeing with me on that. 60% of tickets, 90% of the cash coming in on the UT Martin side. It is a pretty low total as well at 142.5. So maybe makes more sense to look towards taking the points in that one. What do you mean, plus money or minus? It's at like minus 110, like the typical VIG. I'm not sure what the question is. Like they're a 12.5 point underdog. It's just the spread. Like it's at minus 110. Saab, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right. And then we have, I don't know, the only other game that kind of interested me a little bit was Illinois State, Southern Illinois. Illinois State, I looked at this, I'm like, oh my God, they're coming off a big game, man, where they played really close against a pretty good Utah State team. And not only did they play close in that game, they lost a long win streak. So both of those things could result in a hangover here for Illinois State. Although I know this is going to be their conference opener. And that's kind of my hesitation in fading them, is that I think they're going to get up for Southern Illinois, because I think Illinois State still considers themselves to almost be like a little brother, because Southern Illinois has just had the better history in basketball, at least for as long as I've been alive. That seems to have been the case. So, yeah, I see some negatives for Illinois State here for sure. Coming off a big game, fell just short, ended a long win streak for them. For Southern Illinois, though, I look at them, they're coming off a pretty tough game as well, where they played pretty close against Richmond as an underdog on the road and only lost by 9. And even though this is their conference home opener, there is a little bit of danger that maybe Southern Illinois has an eye looking ahead to Bradley, who is also in Illinois. And Bradley, really, really good, man, in this conference. Bradley in the Missouri Valley, they've been in the mix to win this conference for the last few years. They're always there. It's just they can't get by Drake is basically it. Bradley's been number 2 in this conference for, well, at least they were last year. The year before that, I guess it was Indiana State with Avila before he switched over and moved over to St. Louis. But yeah, so this game, it's a stay away for me. The money is coming in on Illinois State, though, which kind of surprises me, because I actually think they're the team that's in the worst spot. I would probably lay it with Southern Illinois if I was going to play it. Of course, it also looks weird, right, when you're laying points with a 6-5 team against an 8-3 team. So there's a reason why Southern Illinois is favored. I mean, they're at home, but also the odds makers are kind of telling you the teams are about even power ratings wise. So that I would lean towards laying it in that one, but the money is disagreeing with that. It's 57% of tickets on Southern Illinois, 62% of the cash on Illinois State. Line has gone up to 3, like I said. But not a whole lot going on in college basketball today, man. The over and what the Blues versus Jets, yeah, that was a 1-goal game yesterday. Was Hellebuck even in net in that game yesterday? I don't even know. That was a game where if I was going to have played that game, it would have been the St. Louis side. I mean, I talked about it yesterday on the show, but I didn't want to do it. Good transition into hockey. All right. We have a lot of hockey games here, man. We have my Boston Bruins are hosting Edmonton. Kind of a weird matchup. These two teams don't know each other very well. Edmonton, they're coming in, not finishing a road trip, but they're getting towards the end of a road trip. They just won what was a pretty big game, man, because that was the goalie swap battle where both of the goalies that got traded actually played in the game between Edmonton and Pittsburgh. It was Jari against Skinner, playing on their opposing teams now, on their new teams, and Edmonton got the best of it and won in what was not a good goalie performance from either. 6-4 was the final, so I could see maybe an argument that maybe there's a little bit of a letdown factor here. Edmonton does have Minnesota and Vegas coming up next, and those are big games in the Western Conference, man, so I don't really disagree with the Boston side here, even though they're my team. I don't want to be biased or whatever. I'm going to root for the Bruins, but the Bruins are just staying at home. They actually won against Utah in their return home spot, which I did not expect. Staying at home, they should be focused for a game against Edmonton. Don't know which goalie is going to be used for Boston in this one. Typically, they've been doing Swayman for 2 games and then Korpisalo. So if that trend continues, it will be Korpisalo. He is the worst of the 2 goalies, though, that the Bruins have. So slight lean for me to the Bruins. It looks like the money line did drop from -145 to -130 on Edmonton. Oddsmakers still telling you Edmonton's the better team, is a favorite on the road. Obviously, I'm not going to disagree with that, but based on the spot, if I was going to play it, I would probably look towards the Bruins as the home dog here. 68% of tickets, 90% of the cash on Edmonton, though. So the money currently seems to kind of be disagreeing, but yes. Oh, you thought about the over. In which I don't know which game we're talking about here today. I have no idea what we're talking about. Every game went under. Yeah, 6.5. There are a lot of 6.5s on this board here. Rangers and Blues over. I mean, I don't like the Blues goaltending, but the Rangers don't play a lot of high-scoring games, man. Their offense is especially ass at home, though, and they're not at home tonight. But that game is a pretty low total at 5.5. The Rangers have pretty good goaltending typically, and they don't have a good offense, so it's kind of a weird contrast of styles in that game in some respects. Really, it's just bad goaltending for St. Louis, and I don't think either offense is that good. Chicago at Montreal. Chicago, they're starting to fade, man, as kind of expected. I mean, I told you they weren't as good as their record looked earlier. They've lost 3 games in a row, though. I mean, they'll show up for Montreal. I mean, this is an original 6 game. Montreal's been a decent team this year, so I expect Chicago will show up, even though it's their 3rd straight original 6 game in a row after losing to Detroit and losing a close game to Toronto here. Maybe a little bit of a concern, playing couple of big games in a row here. For Montreal, they might be in the better spot, though, because they're coming off an ugly home loss to Philadelphia, losing 4-1. So just staying at home. They were kind of in a letdown spot there, too, because they'd had a big win over Edmonton the game before that. It looks like Montembeault is hurt, so they're alternating between Dobes and Fowler. Dobes has been the better of those goalies, I think, even though he had some bad performances in there, too. He'll probably be in net for this one. If I was going to play it, I would slightly lean towards Montreal, though the money looks like it's completely disagreeing with that. They're down from -200 to -175. 81% of the tickets and 62% of the cash on them. So, yeah, the market read doesn't agree with me on that one on Montreal. I wouldn't really want to do anything with Chicago in that game, though. Yeah. Tampa, wait, what? Oh, Tampa versus Kings total is what you're talking about. Tampa, yeah, I mean, they definitely could score, and they are missing their goalie, of course. I mean, the totals, when they're 6.5, they're 6.5 for a reason, though. Like, they're 6.5 because the odds makers are basically telling you it's going to be a high-scoring game when they throw a 6.5 out there. It's the highest total that you'll see in hockey. I think it's almost like they're begging you to take the under when they put up a 6.5. 5.5 is fishy on what? Like, 5.5 looking too low. You usually want to go under the 5.5, yes. No Vasil and a third string goalie in for the Kings now? Yeah, because the Kings lost Kemper. That's correct. All right, we have Pittsburgh at Ottawa. Pittsburgh is the other side of that, coming off that goalie battle where they lost to Edmonton. It wasn't that close of a game, really. They were losing the game by 3 goals fairly late in the game, but still a big game. But maybe it'll be good for them to just go out on the road after they lost literally every single game on their homestand. One good thing for you is to just forget about it and go on the road. Although they do have a revenge game against Montreal up next. But, I mean, Pittsburgh, they're playing so bad right now that I just don't think they're going to overlook anybody. So I expect them to show up in this game. It's just a matter of how tired are they going to be off of that Edmonton game. Ottawa is coming in off a nice win over Winnipeg and returning home from a road trip with multiple days off. It wasn't a long road trip, really. It started a week ago. They went to Columbus, Minnesota, Winnipeg, won 2 of the 3, finished with a nice overtime win over Winnipeg. So, yeah, I would still be looking to fade Ottawa in this one. I mean, you know me. When a team returns home from a road trip, I talk about how they get settled in at home. They can be a bit distracted. The team starting the road trip, which is Pittsburgh here, usually that's the way that I'm going to look, man. If I'm not, like, I'm usually going to give out a play on it, which I'm not in this one. But when a team's starting a road trip against a team returning home from a road trip, I'm almost always going to be on the team starting the road trip because you get focused to start the road trip right. The team returning home tends to be distracted. So that is the way I would lean in this game. Hasn't made my card, but I would lean towards Pittsburgh. The money seems like it agrees on that one. Ottawa down from minus 175 to minus 165. One issue I have with it, though, is that, like, there's a reason why Ottawa was a big favorite. Even though they have the worst record, the odds makers keep telling you that Pittsburgh is not as good as their record looks. 75% of tickets and only 58% of the cash on Ottawa. So I would do like what I did last night with the Devils on that one, probably do a +1, make your own +1 puck line on Pittsburgh if I was going to do that. Copley, like Copley Square in Boston. I don't even know who that guy is, to be honest. Penguins good on the power play. Senators don't have a good penalty kill. I should look into that more because I don't even know like which teams are. I used to know that stuff, but now I don't. I just go like based on the situation pretty much entirely. We do have the Kings at Tampa. The Kings lost for us last night, so they're on a back-to-back. Not exactly the greatest spot, playing 3 games in 4 days, 4 games in 6 days, all in different cities. They were actually on the road a few days before that one home game too, so not really a good travel spot here or rest spot for the Kings. Losing against Dallas and Florida coming into this one. Close game against Florida last night. I'm not happy about it. They're going to have rest after this, but Tampa might be catching them at a pretty good time here. Tampa, they're a big favorite here. They are for a reason. They're a good team. Tampa's coming off an ugly loss to Florida in a return home spot. So I believe, did we have that one on the show? I don't remember if we did or if we didn't, but I think I passed on that one. But Tampa Bay returned home from a road trip. They lost, and you know I talk about this. When a team loses at home in the first game back, they usually do a lot better in the next game. Maybe a little bit of a concern that they have Carolina next, if that's going to be a look ahead. I don't think so, though. I think they're going to be more focused on the task at hand after an ugly loss at home. Again, usually that team does bounce back in the next game. You got to worry about what their goaltending situation is because Johansson has played every single game since Vasilevsky went down, so he's going to be pretty tired at some point here. He probably will play again, I would guess, because they've had 2 days off. To me, it is a bounce-back spot. Tampa looked worse against Florida than LA did last night, so common opponent there almost makes you want to look towards the Kings. The Kings are good on the road, so I worry about that a little bit, and I worry about the market read here, but I think if you're going to play this, you have to look towards the Tampa Bay side or not play the game. 87% of tickets, 71% of the cash on Tampa, though. They're down from minus 190 to minus 188. I don't really understand that. I don't understand what the market is seeing in that one and doing in that one. I would only look towards Tampa Bay there. Probably be like a make-your-own puck line situation or Tampa to win in regulation or something like that if I was going to play it, which I am not. Toronto at Washington. Toronto, they just beat Chicago. I mean, I don't know if that's really that big of a deal. Now, they're going to be focused on Washington. I mean, Washington is one of the better teams in the conference. Starting a road trip for Toronto with a little bit of new momentum after that win. It's a positive spot for Toronto. You want to get the road trip off on the right foot. You're going to be focused on a Washington team. Washington did just beat them the last time they were here, 4-2 as well. For Washington, I think they're going to be focused too, though, because Washington, I mean, they're coming off a string of 3 losses where they actually lost by a combined score of 10-1 in their last 2 games, including one of those is a winner for us on Winnipeg. But they did not bounce back at all. I thought they would play a lot better against Minnesota in the Quinn Hughes battle there, and Washington was horrible in the game. Now, they're returning home from the road trip here. Only a 2-game road trip, though. Only Saturday, Tuesday. So I usually talk about, again, how teams are distracted when they return home, but not as much so when they haven't been away for that long. To me, I think Washington is going to be focused here. I mean, you lose 5-1 and then 5-0. You're going to be pissed, dude. Like, you're not going to overlook your next opponent, in my opinion. So I think both teams are in a focused spot here. So that kind of means that I would be looking towards an under in that game if my total instincts are right here, which they were the other night at least. But as far as the over-under is concerned here, the total is sitting at 6. Not much movement there. Very public over. 94% of tickets on the over. 97% of the cash on the over. So you're fading the public if you do want the under there. The money looks like it is on the Washington side, up from minus 155 to minus 160. 62% of tickets on Toronto. 89% of the cash, though, on Washington. Public is off of Washington now because they haven't been good over the last couple of games. Recency bias maybe affecting that. I'm not really going to disagree with the Washington side. Like, usually when you have a team that lost that horrendously, they are a decent play-on team in the next game, but I'm staying away from that one too. Next game is one of the plays that I have. We're going right back to the team that scared us but still got it done for us with the Columbus BJs, the Blue Jackets. We're getting them as a home underdog here. We're going to fade this hot Minnesota team. I mean, first of all, it looks really weird. Like, it almost looks way too easy to take Minnesota. They're sitting between minus 113 and minus 120 here. Almost just a pick-the-winner price, even though they're the hot team with the way better records. Like, who would want to step in front of Minnesota right now? I'm going to do it. Sometimes I do. They've won 5 games in a row, but I mean, come on, man. They've won by a combined 11-2 score since they got Quinn Hughes, basically, over the last 2 games. They look unstoppable right now, but they just beat Washington in the Quinn Hughes battle. Huge game for them, and winning 5-0. You know you're not going to get any value on this team, and they have this weird single-game road trip to Columbus. I mean, I don't know how much they're really going to focus on Columbus. And up next, they got Edmonton and then Colorado in back-to-back games over the weekend. To me, this looks like a sandwich spot, big time. We're going to go with Columbus in this one, man. Columbus sitting at the very bottom of their division here. Like, nobody's going to pay that much attention to Columbus, especially this is an out-of-conference game as well. So a lot of times the better team has the tendency to overlook that out-of-conference game. I know Columbus is coming off that win, a good win for us against Anaheim, but I don't really see Columbus being in a letdown spot after this, even though they do have Anaheim again next. But I think what that Anaheim win will do is it will break their losing momentum. They lost 5 games in a row. They broke out of it with that win. I see that maybe giving them some new confidence, new momentum coming forward. It's the final game of the homestand. They're going to want to pull to even on the homestand, man, because they're 1-2 on the homestand. I think they're going to show up. I mean, you're going to show up when you have a team as hot as Minnesota coming into your place. So I like Columbus in this one, man. Don't really see the percentages yet on this one, but Columbus is the play there in that one for me. We're going right back to it. Hell yeah. Join me on Columbus, yes. I'm again, like, most of these plays are going to look really ugly today. The NBA plays are crazy ugly today for me. All right, we have Philadelphia and Buffalo. I was considering this game maybe as a play. Philadelphia just broke a loss streak with a nice win over Montreal. But if you look at what they've done in these recent games, they had 3 straight overtime games and shootout games. Vegas, Carolina again. Then they beat Montreal. This run of games is really difficult, man. And now they play Buffalo on the road. Could be a game where maybe they get caught. Maybe they overlook a Buffalo team they just beat 5-2 back on December 3rd. I don't know if they're going to necessarily look ahead to the Rangers, but maybe. I mean, this Buffalo team is really not a team. It's really going to draw many teams' focus. Buffalo quietly has won 3 games in a row, although the last 2 were against bad Vancouver and Seattle teams. But the problem I have with Buffalo is they're returning home from a road trip. I mean, I'm almost never going to be on a team that returns home from a road trip, especially in this case. They've been on the road for like 2 weeks. There's no way I'm going to do that. So they've been away for a long time. And when teams return home from a road trip, you know how I talk about it. They can get a little bit distracted. I mean, maybe they'll show up for a Philadelphia team that's been playing well, that beat them to start that road trip. So they do have reason maybe to show up here. They do have a few days off, but I actually don't like that they've been off since Sunday, because I think it'll disrupt their winning momentum and get them settled back in at home. So I actually don't like the extra time off in this situation. Like, when you're winning, you want to just keep playing, So I can't get there with either side of this game. For me, it would be an over in this game, to be honest, if I was going to play it. I mean, I don't see either team having great goaltending. Let's say that. The total's at 6. The money seems to be coming in the under. I don't really agree with it. 75% of tickets on the over, 59% of the cash on the under. As far as the side, Buffalo is taking money up from minus 131 to minus 145. 72% of the tickets, 74% of the cash on the Buffalo side. I mean, I would still probably fade Buffalo. I mean, that return home spot is just really, really difficult. I would still probably look towards Philadelphia. Although, one thing that would scare me about that is there is a reason why Buffalo's favored. Like, why would Buffalo, the team with the way worse record, be favored by more than just home ice at home in a bad spot, too? You know what I mean? Very weird. Odds makers are telling you the Buffalo is actually the better team in this spot, which seems insane. So I don't really want to fade that. The line just looks very, very fishy in that game. So I got to stay away from it completely, man. I don't want anything to do with it. Columbus beat Minnesota early in the season. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of ignore that. Like, in-season revenge, like, I think it matters more when you remember it more, like when it like just happened. Other than that, really just playoff revenge is the thing that kind of matters. Although, yeah, like a team, I mean, revenge isn't even really a thing. It's more like the recent revenge isn't really a thing. It's more that the team that just lost will remember that and remember what they did wrong, and they'll make adjustments to it. You know what I mean? Whereas the team that won, they can't make adjustments because they have nothing to fix. All right, next game is my other play, which I told you it was going to be a play in this St. Louis game. We're on the Rangers. You know we are. The Rangers are on the road. We're going to play the Rangers, minus 140 on the money line here. I don't like the spot for the Blues here, man. I know it almost looks too easy to lay a price with the team that everybody knows is the better team, but we're doing it here. St. Louis, they're on a back-to-back. Yes, I know they are staying at home, but they had a huge win last night against Winnipeg, man. That's a big win because that's playoff revenge. Again, it's one of the only types of revenge that matters. Winnipeg was the team that eliminated St. Louis from the playoffs last year. They hadn't played since then until last night. Huge win for the Blues. Now they're coming off of that, and they do have the returning champs, Florida, up next. So I see them maybe not having their best effort here in this game, man, against the Rangers. No time off. It's going to be Binnington back in net here, and he's been awful enough that he's been demoted. I mean, unless maybe he's hurt. I don't think he is, but he's been bad, dude. So, yeah, either way, I don't really care. I'm playing the spot here, but St. Louis's goaltending just in general has not been good. The Rangers, I mean, they're still like a 500 team, barely like above 500 team if you don't include the overtime losses that they have. The Rangers, however, are really good on the road. Like I said, they're horrific at home, but on the road, they're 12-5-1. They're one of the best road teams in hockey. I don't know what it is. They just get distracted at home, I guess. They have to listen to the New York media constantly complaining about them. They're way better on the road, and the spot sets up really pretty nicely for the Rangers, in my opinion, because even though it's one of those weird single-game road trips, and they're playing a third game in 4 days, but, you know, St. Louis played yesterday, the Rangers didn't. But look what the Rangers are coming off of, man. Again, they were ass at home. They lost 2 games at home by a combined 7-1 score, 4-1 against Anaheim, and then 3-0 to Vancouver. Vancouver's not good. And the Rangers got shut out for like the 6th time this season at home. They are horrific at home, dude. So now going out on the road, I think you're going to get focused out of the Rangers going out on the road here, man. Again, they're way better on the road. They're leaving home where it seems like everything is just a disaster for them at home. Much, much better for the Rangers to just leave, get out of there, focus on hockey. I think they're going to win this one. They're coming off just that horrific home shutout loss again. Usually you do want to look to play teams that are coming off a bad loss like that. Rangers are the play in this one. 80% of tickets, 85% of the cash on the Rangers. They're down from minus 140 to minus 138, so maybe you can find a slightly better money line on this. I think this is going to be a situation where public and professionals are on both on the Rangers in this one. That is the way that we're going to play it. Rangers money line. I think the spot is correct for it. As far as the total, I mean, the money is definitely coming in on the under, and I do not disagree with the under here, like I said. The total's at 5.5. Rangers, they're just not a good offense, dude. I mean, that's just the way that it is. I know St. Louis's goaltending is ass, but you're also looking at two bad offenses here. I think the Rangers will be focused just in general, which usually means you're going to have a better defensive effort as well. Rangers goaltending is still good. 67% of tickets, 88% of the cash on the under. Binnington, if he's playing here, at least he's rested at the very least, even though I think he sucks. So, yeah, I like Rangers. I like under in that game as well, but Rangers is the play there. Fuck St. Louis. No bias here. I mean, dude, I still don't like St. Louis from that Stanley Cup Finals that the Bruins absolutely should have won in 2018 or whatever. I still don't like St. Louis after that, but no bias here, man. I have to, although I'm playing against them here, but I have to, I don't like the Rangers either, really. I mean, they're New York, but I have to go with what I think the right side is. I have to go with where my handicapping leads me. You like the Rangers as well? Yeah, hell yeah. The Knicks are not going to win the championship. I think they're probably the best team in the Eastern Conference, but if they make the finals, I don't think they're going to beat the Western Conference team that they have to face. Unless it's maybe if it's Houston, because Houston's so inexperienced. If it's OKC or Denver, I don't think they'll beat either of those teams. All right. Seattle at Calgary. As I'm going through every game here, we got to do this with NBA too. There are going to be a lot of games here, man. Seattle, bad team. They're coming off 3 straight losses. They did just lose to Colorado 5-3, but maybe, even though that's a tough game, maybe it'll be a good thing for Seattle. Just get out of there, go on the road. Again, a team starting a road trip usually is going to be focused, so I think Seattle might be focused for that reason. Calgary's technically returning home from a road trip, although it was only a 2-game road trip down to California on Saturday and Tuesday. Coming back home from that, they do have Vegas and then Edmonton after this, so I think the spot is worse for Calgary, though, just generally, for all those reasons. Money is coming in at Seattle. I don't disagree with that. Calgary up from -160 to -175, though. So hilariously, the odds makers are telling you Seattle is that bad, that Calgary is that much the better team. 67% of tickets, 96% of the cash on Seattle, though. I do not disagree with the Seattle side in that one, even though the line looks crazy for Calgary to be that much of a favorite against anybody. But the spot, I think, is a lot better for Seattle. Again, the road trip return, it might be a little bit of a distracted spot for Calgary there. They don't get a banner for winning the NBA Cup. Yeah, the Knicks, yeah. No, they get like a trophy or something to put in a trophy case. It's not a banner, yeah. The NBA Cup is stupid, man. Dallas and San Jose here. Dallas just had a nice win over the Kings. They do have multiple days off. They're starting a road trip. I mean, I would say it's usually a focus spot when you start a road trip, but the Kings were a bigger deal, and they have Anaheim tomorrow, which is a bigger deal. So this 2-game road trip, I think it is going to be easy for them to overlook San Jose, and they did just beat San Jose 4-1 in Dallas back on December 5th. So this could possibly be a spot where they do overlook San Jose. For San Jose, they're staying at home. They did just return home from a road trip, and they beat us, even though it was a bad spot, in my opinion, the return home spot. Trust the process, man. But San Jose got the win anyway. I thought they'd be looking ahead to this game. Second game back at home, I still expect San Jose to show up in this game. So I would slightly lean towards San Jose in this one. You're getting them as a massive underdog. Probably you could take them +1.5 on the puck line at a pretty good price here. Dallas down from -210 to -205. They're a really, really massive road favorite here. Probably not totally justified. Even though, again, I don't think San Jose is as good as their record looks. 84% of tickets, 52% of the cash on Dallas. So Dallas very public with a lot less of the money on them. The market read is saying San Jose. I don't disagree with that. As I said, I like San Jose in that one too. Not a play for me, but that's what I like. All right, NBA, I'm going to talk about in a second. I will be right back. All right, we are back. NBA. The previous two winners did hang banners. I have no idea, dude. It's just whatever. It's stupid. I don't like the Knicks. I don't like the Lakers. Whatever. NBA, we have a huge slate of games today, man, and this is going to be a situation where you got to see what's going. Like, really got to look at the scheduling spots here. Although I do that anyway. But you're going to have teams that are coming out of breaks, where I talk about when a team has a break, it stops, basically. It tends to stop whatever momentum they had. So if they were winning, the break is bad. If they were losing, the break is good. And then you have the teams that were involved in the Cup that are playing as well today. So we're going to talk about all that. Atlanta is at Charlotte. Now, Atlanta did just beat Charlotte, although only beat them by 3 at home back on November 23rd. Atlanta got a win on Sunday. Now they've had a few days off. A nice win over Philadelphia. And they do have San Antonio next. So to me, this does look like a spot where maybe they just overlook Charlotte and they don't take Charlotte seriously. But Charlotte, I don't like the way that they went into the break at all. They beat Cleveland on Sunday. Big overtime upset on the road. And they do have Detroit next and then Cleveland again. I don't think they're really going to overlook Atlanta, though, because Atlanta is probably going to be a team that's headed to the playoffs. So it's a tough thing to figure out for this one, man. I think I do slightly lean to the Hawks, though, because I think the handicap really is that the Hornets might not be able to keep up that level of effort again after they pulled off that upset. So I lean to the Hawks. I think the money is agreeing with that. The Hawks are down from 6 to 5.5, but 78% of the cash on them, 62% of the tickets are on the Hornets. I'm not going to disagree with it. It's a pretty high total, too, so at 239, so laying the points kind of makes sense for that reason in that one. Although I'm going to go against what I said there in a minute. New York at Indiana. This one almost makes my card, and there's one thing that I worry about in this game. The obvious thing here is that first reaction is the Knicks just won the NBA Cup, so you want to fade them right now, right? And looking at the schedule, yeah, it definitely looks like that's the case. They do have Philadelphia tomorrow, which you would think is a bigger game. Then they do have Minnesota, Miami, then Minnesota, then Cleveland, then Atlanta, whatever. So this Indiana spot looks like a flat spot, but I'm going to push back on that. And there's one reason why I'm not going to give out a play on the Pacers here, because if this wasn't the case, then I would be on the Pacers here. And I still lean to the Pacers here. Because, yeah, I think the Knicks are in a letdown. They just won the NBA Cup. They're coming back from Las Vegas. Looks like a sandwich spot, kind of, because they have bigger games on deck. Indiana, you got to think they're going to show up for this game because, I mean, they're a team with a bad record, so they're not really going to overlook anybody, but they just lost to Washington 108 to 89, and then they've had a bunch of days off since then. So, again, they've lost their last 2 games. They've been off since Sunday. Very good spot for Indiana to bounce back here. So they're going to show up for this game, coming off probably their worst loss of the season. And they've had some bad ones, but that was really bad, losing to Washington in a blowout at home. Doesn't get much worse than that. So everything is like screaming Indiana here, except this is playoff revenge for the Knicks. That's the only thing that gives me pause here, man, that I think the Knicks have had this game circled, even though Indiana is bad this year. They're bad right now, but the Knicks, they know who ended their season last year, man, and that was the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, and these teams have not played yet this year. So that is the one thing that's holding me back on this one, man. I worry that is a reason for the Knicks to show up in this game. The money is saying the Pacers. I don't disagree. If you're going to play the game, I would take the points with the Pacers, but my hesitation is that it's playoff revenge, man, and that's the one reason I could see the Knicks still showing up here. 69% of the tickets on the Knicks, 67% of the cash on the Pacers. Still agree with the Pacers, and it was like, this was like on my card. Like I had the banner like ready to go, and I knew that it was a playoff revenge spot still, and I was going to push that aside and still do it, but I was like, I don't know. The more I thought about it, I'm like, nah, I don't want to do it. But I would agree with the Pacers still, though. Like I think it's still one of the stronger NBA plays on the day is to look towards the Pacers, but that does worry me. 30% profit boost. There you go. Merry Christmas, man. Take the gift there. Yes, thank you, sir. Yeah, Knicks Pacers. Yeah, I look for the playoff revenge scenario because it's the one thing where teams are going to have that game circled all season pretty much. But I could see arguments against it too, though, which is just that the Pacers are really bad this year. So the Knicks might, overlook them for that reason. By the way, the Knicks are bad on the road. 4-6 on the road, so they are definitely a fadeable team on the road. So still lean towards Indiana there. Miami at Brooklyn. Miami, oh man, I mean, Miami, they're on a skid here, man. So I think it's good that they haven't played since Monday. They lost 5 games in a row. I think it's a positive spot now. When you're on a skid like this, you want to break that losing momentum. I think you're going to show up, but the problem is they play Boston tomorrow and then New York, the Knicks after that. So there's still the worry that they might overlook the Nets because the Nets are ass. And Miami's last game was a loss to Toronto. That was a bigger game. They got bounced from the NBA Cup, I think, in the game before that against Orlando. So those were somewhat big games as well. So I do worry that you could argue this is also a sandwich spot. So it's like, which way do you want to go with this? Like, I don't know, man. They're going to Brooklyn here. So I can see some positives and some negatives for the spot for Miami. Brooklyn to just annihilate Milwaukee, and that was a win for us on the show. They won by 45 points as an underdog. That made me look pretty good, giving out that play, and it was against the market read too. We caught Milwaukee in a bad spot there. Brooklyn got the win, but coming off of that, I mean, Brooklyn, sure, they're going to show up for a game against Miami. I mean, Brooklyn, they're going to try to show up for most of these games, but the fact that they trounced Milwaukee and that's how they went into this extra time off, I don't really love it. I don't. I can't give it a play on the side in this game, but I actually think the Heat might be the right side here. They're up from 5.5 to 6.5. I think there are more positives for the Heat. Just the fact that they went into that break on a losing skid. I just don't see them really overlooking any team right now. 80% of the tickets, 93% of the cash on the Heat. So the money is coming in on the Heat side there. I don't disagree with it. Clippers are at Oklahoma City. I considered this game. I like the Clippers in this spot. The Clippers haven't played since Monday. They've been ugly. That was a win for us as well on Monday with Memphis. Memphis won by 18 as like 5-point dogs in that game. Clippers were in a bad spot, though. If you remember my handicap, the Clippers were returning home from a road trip. They just almost upset Houston, and they had this OKC game next, followed by the Lakers and Houston again. So it was an awful spot. I thought it was a great spot to take Memphis. We got it done with that one. Now, the Clippers are coming off that horrendous performance, so they lost at home. The Clippers, they're still better than their record would tell you that they are, man. Part of that handicap was that they're going to be focused going into OKC, and I do think they will be. OKC, they're kind of in a bad spot because they just lost another long win streak, man. Although when they lost their other win streak, they had a nice game after that. They won easily against Sacramento after that. So there is precedent for Oklahoma City to just bounce right back. But they did lose to San Antonio in the semifinals in the Cup, and that was a loss for me on the show as well. Although we got the win in the final, fading San Antonio again. But, yeah, I thought that it was going to be a bad spot for San Antonio, especially because Wemby was coming back. The reverse injured player thing was coming into play there. But OKC took the loss. Now, typically when a team is on a long win streak, and that was long for OKC, man. They had not lost for like a month and a half. They only had one loss on the season. Sometimes you take that loss, it will hang you over, especially when it was kind of a high-profile loss like that. They got to play Minnesota tomorrow, so that's a bit of a concern as well. They're returning home from Las Vegas, although they were at home back on Wednesday, so they haven't been away for that long. But still, it is kind of a return home spot, which I don't like. Because, again, you have to get stuff done at home, and they have to go right back out on the road again. So there are definitely a lot of negatives for OKC here, although they're just so dominant at home, man. And the Clippers are just such a mess that I can't do it. I would take the points with the Clippers if I was going to play this one. It looks like you're getting more value on it. The Thunder are up to a 17.5-point favorite now. 83% of the tickets, 74% of the cash on the Thunder. Obviously, the Thunder are the public side here. I would take the Clippers. I can't do it, man. But that is the way that I would lean in this one. The Clippers are horrific on the road, too. 3-12 on the road. I mean, they've been bad both ways, but man, they got to show me something better than this. Oklahoma City's still undefeated at home, although obviously they can win without covering. James Harden is also out for this game, by the way, so something to keep in mind here. So I don't know, when did he last play is the other question. He has a calf injury. He did play in the last game, so that is actually the reason why the line has moved up further on the Thunder, but that does mean that you're getting an injured player theory spot on the Clippers, so the Clippers' star player is now out for this game, so that's another situation that I do like to play on a team when they have their star player go down. A lot of times the team will step up their game and play hard in the absence of that player, so you're getting that spot with the Clippers here as well. So actually another reason to maybe take the extra value with the Clippers there. Yeah, Clippers, I agree with it, but it's not on my card here. The next game is Chris Paul at a Halloween party. Only 3 Clippers showed. I mean, yeah, nothing to really celebrate when you're on a member of the Clippers team. It also, that team just has no chemistry, dude. And you know what? I mean, you'd have to look at what they've done without Harden in the other games this year, but without Harden, it might actually not even be that bad. Like, Harden, when he's in there, he just ball hogs. So they might have more chemistry without Harden. Next up is one of the plays. Get ready for this one, because this one's awesome. We are going to be on the Washington Wizards plus 15. This, man, I know how ugly this is, but we're fading San Antonio. We're doing it for a reason. There were multiple reasons to do this. San Antonio's returning home for being on the road since December 3rd. So they had a road trip from December 3rd to December 10th. Then I have no idea if they went back home because they were in LA. They may have gone back home briefly. I don't know. But they probably didn't because they had to go from LA to Vegas for the NBA Cup. So then they were in Vegas for the Cup. They made it all the way to the Cup final. And even though they lost by 11, they were within like 4 points in that game. They were winning the game to start the fourth quarter. So they were in that game, man. They were really close to winning the Cup. So now they're coming up those huge games. They beat LA, beat OKC, almost beat the Knicks. That ended their win streak. It was in a high-profile game in the NBA Cup. Now they're coming off of all that. It is a return home spot. And they have to go right back out on the road again tomorrow and face Atlanta. So they're at home for a very brief period of time. So if they have to get stuff done at home, they got to get it done, man. I think they're going to be massively distracted here. They're playing this really bad Washington team. I think this is a horrible spot for San Antonio. Again, this single game back home is like a really, really ugly spot where you do want to fade the team when they have just that really small amount of time to have to get stuff done at home before they go back out on the road. Nobody's going to want Washington. Everybody just saw San Antonio look great in the Cup. Nobody's going to really knock them for losing to the Knicks. Washington's a 4-20 team. Nobody's going to want them. And I know Washington's coming up beating Indiana, but I don't think they're going to be overconfident after beating Indiana. I mean, you're 4-20. How can you be overconfident? You know what I mean? And even though, yes, they went into this extended break on a win, which usually I don't really want a team when they do that, but that win broke a loss streak for them, man. So, and that loss streak was all against probably playoff-bound teams, Philadelphia, Boston, Atlanta, and Cleveland. So no shame in really losing those games. They got the win. They're actually playing a little bit better, man, because they actually had beaten Milwaukee prior to that. They beat Atlanta 2 games prior to that. Washington seems to be playing a little bit better recently. And now they've had extra rest, and I think the rest is actually not a negative this time because they had broken their loss streak. So I think that they have kind of some newfound momentum here, even though, yeah, you got to worry, I guess, a little bit about the extra rest kind of halting the momentum a little bit, but they're going to show up for a game against the Spurs, man. So I expect focus out of Washington here. Looking at the injury report on this, there's not a whole lot to see here. I mean, Middleton is out for Washington, though, so there is that. I don't know how long he's even been out. I haven't really been paying attention. He's been out since December 4th, so there's no real change there. He just hasn't played for a while. So he got injured in that game against the Celtics. It was a horrible loss for us on the show, but we're going back to the Wizards in this one. Hopefully they can get it done for us here. We're obviously fading the public here. We're getting a huge amount of points here. I know this is a high total game, but still, Spurs are really public, 83% of the tickets on them. You know the public is never going to be touching the Wizards. 53% of the cash on the Spurs, so the cash is much more evenly split. You might be able to get a better number on this. It's sitting at 14.5 with juice, 15 or so right now. We'll see what happens, but yeah, that is the first play in the NBA. All right, Toronto at Milwaukee, man, this is going to be a long show, I guess. Too many NBA games and NHL games all in one day, man. It's a lot for me to have to deal with. Toronto at Milwaukee. Toronto's coming off a win over Miami. That's how Toronto went into their extended break. So I don't love the spot for Toronto here. I mean, that's a decent win over Miami. It did end a loss streak for them, though. So you could argue that maybe that will give them some new momentum. They've only had 2 days off, but now they're playing this Giannis-less Milwaukee team. And up next, they got Boston. That is going to be a bigger game, man, because they did just lose to Boston at home on December 7th. I mean, it's the Celtics. They've been really good the last couple of years. They're actually not bad this year either. So this could be kind of a sandwich spot for Toronto here, man. Milwaukee, they're coming in off that disgusting loss to Brooklyn. I mean, that is like rock bottom. And remember, I talked about it. That was a bad spot for them because they just upset Boston. Also a win for me on the show, by the way. I had wins on the last 2 Milwaukee games. Now, I think they're in a spot where you do want to come back and look towards Milwaukee again here. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I mean, losing to Brooklyn by 45 points, I mean, that's just unbelievable. Like, you're not going to want to let that stand. You're going to come with some sense of pride here. The money looks like it's coming in on the Raptors. I don't agree with it. 81% of the tickets, 95% of the cash on them. They're up from 4 to 5. If I was going to play this game, I would only take the points with Milwaukee. It's also the lowest total on the board, really low for a modern NBA game at 219.5, with money coming in towards the under. Part of it is because of Giannis not being there, but that's still ridiculous. Next game up is my other play, the other best bet. We're going to be on the New Orleans Pelicans plus the points. I told you this was going to be ugly, so bear with me here. The money is coming in against Houston here. 82% of the tickets, only 75% of the cash on them. They're pretty public. The money seems to be disagreeing with them. Couldn't find the 10 out there anymore, but it's not football, so the 10 isn't really a key number here. We're going to fade Houston. Houston is in a nugget sandwich, man. It's like when you take chicken nuggets and you throw it between slices of bread. It's kind of a weird sandwich. You know, it might not look that great. It might fall apart, but it's definitely edible. You can definitely eat it. I mean, look at what Houston has done, man. They should have won against Denver, and I'm pissed because we had Houston in that game. I believe we had LA, the Clippers, in the previous game, too. So I think we've had wins on the show in the last 2 Houston games, I'm pretty sure. Houston, I thought they were going to be looking ahead to Denver, which is, I think, why I faded them against LA, if I remember correctly. I think I did, against the Clippers. Now, they're coming off that huge game against Denver on Monday, dude. They took Denver into overtime. They were looking for that revenge. That was still like, this is the battle of like who's the second best team basically in the NBA between Denver and Houston. Houston took the loss again, and they should have won, as one of our viewers pointed out after we took the loss in that game. Houston had the win in regulation. They were winning the game by 1, or either in regulation or at the end of overtime 1, I forget. Or no, it was only 1 overtime, right? Or was it double overtime? No, it was single overtime. So yeah, it was at the end of regulation. Houston got called for a trip that was a bullshit call. There was no contact at all, and they called a foul, sent Denver to the free throw line, and that's what put the game into overtime, if I remember correctly, and that's why we lost the game. Absolute bullshit. So now Houston's off of that absolutely heartbreaking loss. And as I said, they're in a nugget sandwich because, yeah, guess who they play next? Yeah, they got to go back to Denver again next. So they're coming out of elevation, playing in New Orleans against this ass Pelican team. And then they go right back out into elevation to play Denver again in a quick revenge spot. This is a horrible spot. We're going to be on New Orleans here. New Orleans is actually starting to play a little bit better at the very least. They've actually won 2 games in a row. Go figure. And yes, I know they're coming off an upset of the Bulls, but they've had a few days off. I know that could disrupt their winning momentum a little bit. I don't like playing teams that are coming off extra rest, you know, when they were winning, but still, I think those wins are still going to give them some confidence. And do you really think they're going to overlook Houston coming to their place? I don't think so. So yeah, we're going to be on New Orleans in this. I don't think they've played yet this year, by the way, but New Orleans is actually getting healthy as well. I know Zion hasn't looked that good, but I think he is back. Really, New Orleans, the only guy on the injury report is Murray, and I think he's been out for a while. So New Orleans is actually more intact right now. Yeah, Murray, I don't think has played like this entire season, I believe. So, yeah. I wanted to look at New Orleans' depth real quick here. Yeah, so New Orleans, I mean, this is like the healthiest New Orleans has been all year, though. Zion is back. Derek Queen's playing well. Trey Murphy is there. They got a really young core, man. Like, Queen is a rookie. Fears, I think, is a rookie. These guys are kind of starting to coalesce a little bit, so why not? Let's take the youth. Let's go with the, even though the Rockets are young too, but let's take the Pelicans. We're going to fade the Nugget sandwich here. Pelicans are the play in that one. There you go. Wizards, Clippers, and Pelicans. Teaser, you know me, man. I recommend against teasers in anything except the NFL. The only tease, like, it's a losing proposition unless you're doing a Stanford Wong NFL teaser. I mean, that's just the way that it is. Like, you need it to be a low-scoring sport like the NFL, and you need it to be able to go through multiple key numbers like 7 and 3 in the NFL. NBA teasers, negative EV, man, negative expected value, so I can never bring myself to do a teaser. Yeah, I mean, they're just a losing, like, from the outset, like, the odds are against you, you know what I mean? Like, it's just negative expected value on it. So, yeah, I recommend against teasers in every single case except for NFL Stanford Wong. But even then, you have to get the right price on it. You have to get minus 120, minus 125 at worst on those. And a lot of the books charge you minus 130 now because they know the smart guys are coming in and playing those Stanford Wong teasers, which are, again, teasers in the NFL, 6.2 team teasers specifically that go through 7 and 3. Literally, that is the only plus EV teaser that exists in any sport. Okay. Detroit at Dallas. Detroit coming in off a revenge win, if you want to call it that, against Boston. Unfortunately, my Boston Celtics had beaten them and ended that long win streak of theirs where they were going for their franchise record win streak. So they wanted that game against Boston. They did get it. Simply, this could be a letdown spot now coming in here against Dallas. Really simple handicap on this one, but that's kind of the way that I look at this. Dallas, they're coming in off a pretty ugly loss in Utah, man. So that's pretty bad. I mean, Utah, they're definitely a better home team. They kind of use the elevation to their advantage. It was in overtime. It was a weird single-game road trip. You got to expect Dallas is going to show up at home for a game against Detroit, though. I would take the points with Dallas if I was going to play it. The Pistons are down from 6.5 to 6. 73% of the tickets and 62% of the cash on the Pistons. So they're a public side, quite obviously. The line almost makes it look too easy to lay the points with the Pistons there. So Dallas or pass for me on that one. Yes, Stanford Wong, not his real name, although I also have his book. He has a book about sports gambling as well. I don't even remember what his actual name is. I don't think he's Asian either. I think he's a white guy, but he's Stanford Wong. Yes, that is the only teaser that gives you actual positive expected value. And if you listen to Vegas Runner on Wager Talk, he talks about how you don't even want to play those teasers until the lines are as accurate as they're going to be, because that's how you get the most value in going 6 points away from where the line is, because you want the market to be so fine-tuned. He basically says play the teasers like in the NFL, like literally right before the games start, like right before the 1 p.m., because that's like the latest you can kind of do it, because you're probably going to be tying in like some of those other games that are later or whatever, but you want to wait for the market to be at its most efficient, so that way you're getting the most value on going 6 points away from the most efficient number. You know what I mean? So that's how he does it. I think he kind of just blindly plays all the Stanford Wong possibilities and round robins them out of all of them. I don't really do it. I'm not really a teaser player, but I have given out a teaser of the week basically every week. I should put a graphic up for it. I've been giving those out in the NFL. I'll continue to do that if you want. I mean, I think all of them have won, actually, since I've been doing it the last, 3 weeks or whatever. Last week it was Denver and taking them up to, 8. And I think I said the Saints, right, was the other one, because I couldn't find another good teaser leg there. I think that's what I had there. As long as you could get the Saints As long as the Saints were not a +3, which they were at game time, though. So I don't know. I don't know if you want to count that teaser or not, but that was the only one that I could even really find last week that made any sense at all. So at the very least, it was just no play at all. No teaser play. All right. Orlando is at Denver. Orlando here. This one almost made my card. Orlando, I just worry a little bit about Orlando because they were involved in the cup and they lost to the Knicks. So that's kind of a difficult loss to come off of. They were pretty close in that game down the stretch. So they are coming off a big game there. But they're coming off a loss. They've had a bunch of time off, so they're rested. They haven't played since Saturday. They're starting a road trip. So there are a lot of aspects of this that say that Orlando should be focused here. Denver is who they're playing here. Denver is actually not that good at home. They're only 7-4 at home. They just seem to be overvalued at home right now, even though they're high elevation. Usually they're a very dangerous team at home, especially because they use the elevation to their advantage. But Denver, they played more recently on Monday, and they beat Houston. Huge game, and they have Houston again next. So they're in a Houston sandwich, which if you go by what I ate in Houston, that is that's like a barbecue brisket sandwich. The Texas barbecue sandwich is what Denver's in here right now. Huge win over Houston, man. Could be a letdown spot for them playing an Eastern Conference team that's been kind of mediocre, and they got Houston coming up right again next. So for me, Orlando is the side here. The money seems like it's kind of disagreeing. Nuggets down from 8 to 7, but 65% of tickets, 77% of the cash on the Nuggets. I don't really see it. I think the Nuggets are going to wind up being the public side, I think. So, yeah, my opinion is you got to either take the points with Orlando or not play the game, in my opinion there. Didn't really look at the injury report after I decided not to play it, but Suggs is out. And it looks like the better Wagner is out for Orlando. So they are dealing with some injuries here. That's not good, man. Suggs did actually play in the Knicks game, so I guess you could argue maybe it's, an injured player spot or something, but we got to see what's the deal with Wagner. Wagner, let me see. Yeah, he played in that game against, he hasn't played since December 7th. I didn't even realize that he was down, because he's the better of the Wagners, because they have both Wagners, so sometimes they get confused. Yeah, I mean, so I guess you could argue that with Suggs out, it's an injured player spot for Orlando here, but you're looking at a pretty thin roster for Orlando right now. Where it's like their three best players are Banchero, Suggs, and Wagner, and they really haven't had any point this season with all three of them being like super healthy. You know what I mean? Like Banchero's back and Wagner goes down almost immediately. It's ridiculous. That Orlando team, they just can't stay healthy. That was happening to them last year too. That's crazy. The brisket sandwich, it's a good sandwich, man. Although, last time I was in Houston, though, when I got barbecue at Good and Company, which is pretty good, they got a big bowl on the outside. I did not have a sandwich, though. I got like a barbecue platter with like some brisket and some other stuff, and then jalapeno cheddar bread or something like that. So you could have actually probably made a sandwich with that bread, and it probably would have been interesting. Jalapeno cheddar bread with like a kind of sweet, smoky brisket barbecue on it. It would probably actually work. So, I mean, I could have made a sandwich out of it, but I didn't. I just ate kind of all the components on their own and whatever. All right. We got Golden State at Phoenix. Golden State now with Curry back, I believe, although I think Butler has been hurt as well. Butler looks like he is playing, though. Al Horford is out. He's like kind of the main injury for Golden State right now, but he's an old man, so not really a huge injury issue for them. Golden State hasn't played since Sunday, and they went in on 2 straight losses, including losing at Portland, which is pretty ugly. They have not won since Curry came back, I don't believe, but I think now, the Curry is back. I think they're going to start playing better. I mean, he is still like their best player, obviously, so I think you're going to see some focus out of them here with that time off to disrupt that losing momentum. They're playing Phoenix here. Phoenix went in on a difficult game against LA, the Lakers. They played the Lakers pretty close at home, playing them to within 2 points. They also haven't played since Sunday, and yeah, they're coming off 2 straight losses as well, so maybe they will use that time off to disrupt their momentum, but that's kind of a tough loss to come off of, man. yes, Phoenix will still be focused against Golden State, I would imagine. Phoenix is pretty good at home at 8-5. Golden State's bad on the road at 6-10. I would still slightly lean to the Warriors, though, because I just think the way they went into the break was worse. So I expect them to have more of a bounce back here. Warriors, 67% of tickets, 80% of the cash on them. They're a minus 1.5 point favorite here. Money looks like it is agreeing with the Warriors for now. That would be my opinion in that game. Lakers at Utah. Now, the last time the Lakers were at Utah, they played, I believe, 2 games against Utah. And we got the game right in the zigzag. The Lakers barely got by Utah. Actually, they played first in LA. Then LA almost lost at Utah. So Utah played well that time, but I don't think LA is really going to get caught this time, man. I mean, LA is coming off that game I just mentioned against Phoenix, where they almost lost the game. They haven't played since Sunday. I don't really think it's going to be a momentum disruptor or anything like that, because their only win there at the end was barely a win against Phoenix. They got revenge, though, because Phoenix had beaten them on December 1st. But I actually think the Lakers will show up here, because they only play the other LA team next. I keep saying LA, but they only play the Clippers next. So I don't really see the Lakers coming into this game unfocused here. The Jazz, I mean, they'll still be focused as well. They're staying at home, but having a few days off since Monday might actually disrupt their momentum, because they've won 2 games in a row, both as underdogs. They won at Memphis, and then they won, I believe, as a home dog against Dallas. So Utah's coming off 2 straight games as an upset winner. So I think the Lakers are actually the way to lean in this game. The money seems to agree. The Lakers are up from 7-8, 75% of tickets, 95% of the cash on them. Money, seems like it's agreeing with the Lakers. That's my lean there. And then Sacramento at Portland in the late game. Sacramento, man, I mean, this team, they're dealing with injuries still. Sabonis is still out. Now Zach LaVine is out. I don't know how long he's been out, but he got hurt on the 14th, so I think this might be an injured player spot, I guess, for the Kings, because I think this is going to be the first game where they're without LaVine. He got injured in that game against Minnesota, but this is a thin roster right now, man. When Sacramento's now without their 2 best players, LaVine and Sabonis, that is bad, dude. The spot isn't that bad, as they're coming into this having not played since Sunday. Having that extra rest might disrupt their losing momentum, though. And again, their best player that they currently had just went down, so they might step up their level of play for this one game here. Going into this game against Portland, maybe. I mean, at least that time off maybe will help them rest a bit, get that, losing streak out of the way there. Portland beat Golden State coming into this break, so they've had 4 days off after a pretty big win against Golden State, so you could maybe argue that they're kind of in a letdown spot. Maybe they won't use that rest really to their advantage. So I actually do lean to the Kings in this game. Blazers are up from 7.5 to 9, 62% of the tickets and 81% of the cash on the Kings. Money is coming in on the Kings side. I agree with that one. Don't have much else to say about that, but that is my opinion on that game. All right, college football. We have the Xbox Bowl, which I think is a new bowl, and I think it wasn't decided which teams are going to be in this bowl for a while. I don't know what happened, but this bowl is not even in ESPN's Bowl Mania game, and I have no idea why. Usually when a bowl comes up a little bit later, they'll just throw it in there anyway into the game. Don't know why they haven't. Maybe they just don't want to make people mad with, oh my God, I'm having to adjust my confidence value. But ESPN doesn't care about what people think about their stupid games. So they've done something like that before. So I'm kind of shocked that this game is not in their game, because for completionist's sake, I want to pick every game in there, but whatever. This game is Missouri State and Arkansas State. Our friend Justin is going to be at the game. Missouri State might be flying him out to do camera work for the game here. It looks like he's got a good seat that he showed me right near midfield. So good for you, Justin. This game is in Frisco, Texas. So we have multiple bowls in Frisco this year. This is tonight at 9 p.m. on ESPN2. Missouri State, you got to think they're going to be motivated here, because just like Delaware last night, Missouri State is in their first year in FBS, and they're in a bowl. So as I said yesterday with Delaware, those teams tend to be pumped up for it because it's a big deal for a program that hasn't even been in FBS football, and now they're already in a bowl, so they already have a chance to get their first bowl win for their program. That's a big deal. Delaware, they looked like they wanted to be there last night. They got the win. They played well. I expect a similar performance out of Missouri State here. And again, like I said with Delaware, when a team is in transition period because they're in their first year in Division I, they're not allowed to be in their conference championship game. They're like not allowed in the postseason, but bowls are like completely like all bets are off. Like they're allowed to be in bowls, and really all they have to do is petition the NCAA. And if there are enough bowl spots, they can get in anyway. And of course, we know that Notre Dame was going to be in the Pop-Tart Bowl. They dropped out. So then Georgia Tech moved up into that game. It was going to be BYU and Notre Dame, and now it's BYU, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was going to be in some slightly lesser bowl than that, so they moved up. But then we also had Kansas State. Nobody's talking about this. Everybody is blasting Notre Dame for not playing in a bowl, but Kansas State and Iowa State are both doing it as well. Kansas State and Iowa State both pulled out of the bowls. Iowa State lost their coach as well. It's not just those teams, but I still think that these teams should be allowed into the postseason. Like, why not? Like, who cares if it's your first year in Division I, right? Like, if you play well enough, hey, let them get a chance at the conference championship. Let them play in a bowl. Well, they do get to play in a bowl, and like I said with Delaware last night, they have to go to the NCAA and petition them and actually ask, can we play in a bowl? So that tells you that they want to be there. So I think Missouri State does want to be there. Now, Missouri State lost 2 games at the end of the season, which usually I don't love, but they do have a lot of time off to break that losing momentum. And I think what kind of happened there was Missouri State had a big game against Kennesaw State. Even though Missouri State was not going to be eligible for the conference championship game, they had a chance to spoil Kennesaw State's season, and they didn't do it. Close game, close loss. They lost by 7. I just think Missouri State had a hangover after that because they were already bowl eligible at that point. So they just didn't show up in the final game. So I don't think it was just like, oh, they just didn't play well down the stretch, whatever. I mean, a lot of times, yes, I do talk about how when a team plays well, like with Louisiana last night, one of the reasons why I didn't really want to actually make Delaware a play was that Louisiana played hard just to get to that 6th win to get into a bowl. So when you see a team do that and they go and they win 4 games, in a row just to get bowl eligible, that is kind of an indicator that that team does want to be in a bowl. And that was the case with Louisiana. So sometimes I do like to see teams that did do that. Now for this game, again, yes, we've established it's going to be a big deal for Missouri State. Now, for Arkansas State, I actually think they will show up again, even though Arkansas State did win a bowl last year. They won against Bowling Green, a lot of bowling in the Ventures Bowl, which we saw at the bowl last night. Arkansas State won that bowl last year. They've been in bowls multiple years in a row, so yes, the bowl doesn't mean as much to the Arkansas State program, but they did win their last game of the season on the road at App State to get to the 6th win. So that kind of tells you that Arkansas State does kind of want to be here too. Like they played well to get that 6th win. They're sitting at 6-6, and I told you that 6-6 teams are also a good way to look usually in bowls because it's just that mental motivator where I know last night we had both teams were 6-6, so it applied to both teams. But when a team is sitting at 6-6, it's like that mental motivator. Like we don't want to have a losing season. You know what I mean? So when you have a 6-6 team against a team that has a better record, which is what we have in this game, you actually usually want to look to the 6-6 team because that mental motivator motivates them like, oh, we don't want to have a losing season. So I'm going to stay away from this game completely. Although I don't think Arkansas State is really that good. Now, the line movement in this game has been crazy. So we saw Arkansas State was a 2.5-point favorite initially. The line moved to this morning, Missouri State was like a 2-point favorite. So the line completely flipped, but now it's flipped all the way back to Arkansas State. So I think we have differing opinions from the professional money in this one. The line has gone all over the place here, man. Or maybe it was a setup towards Missouri State and now all this comeback on Arkansas State. I don't know, man, because my initial opinion was I like Missouri State here because it's a bigger deal when you're in your first bowl in program history. So I kind of want to still lean that way to Missouri State. But I do kind of worry about it, man, because it looks like the money's coming back on the Arkansas State side. They're now a 1-point favorite again. 54% of the cash on Arkansas State. 57% of the tickets are on Missouri State. So really, really hard to read this game right now, where it stands right now, man. So I'm not going to get involved in this game at all. The money looks like it initially dropped the total down from 56.5 to 54, but 62% of the tickets on the over and 90% of the cash on the over. So some of the money looks like it is coming back towards the over. I don't really have an opinion on the total really in this game, although both offenses are decent in this game, which is why the total's fairly high. So it wouldn't shock me if the game was somewhat high scoring. Now, the other thing you do have to look at is the bowl opt-outs, which I forgot to bring up here. My apologies. Hang on a second. Although in this game, I don't think there are very many opt-outs in this one. But let me bring it up real quick. Hold on. I'm going to bring it into my other window here, if I can. Here we go. Here's the bowl opt-outs. If you guys can see this, let's look. Let me see. I want to go to, what bowl is this? The Xbox Bowl, yeah. What? Link me to it, you bastard. Why is this not working? All right, anyway, here it is, the Xbox Bowl. Here are the opt-outs. There are actually a few. I don't know if any are really of note. We do have Missouri State actually has a few. Now, actually, this is kind of a concern for Missouri State. Actually, I forgot about this, which I should have remembered that. Ryan Beard, the head coach for Missouri State, is gone for this game. He's going to Coastal Carolina. So Missouri State's going to be using an interim coach here. So that might be a little bit of a concern. It looks like they have a few opt-outs, which might be guys that are going with him over to Coastal. So they're losing one of their wide receivers and a couple of defensive players. Whereas for Arkansas State, their offensive coordinator, Cash Hudson, hit the transfer portal. Other than that, it looks like they just have some injuries going on there. So a few things going on here. Not huge, but the biggest thing is the head coach moving. So then you have to kind of gauge, well, now Missouri State's going to have an interim coach. So now the question is, are they going to play hard for the interim? I say that they will. I mean, a lot of times you see the team will step up and play well for the interim coach. I mean, the interim coach is always somebody that's been in the system all year, and they get elevated to the head coach role just for this bowl game. And when it's the first bowl in program history, you know they're going to be motivated for it. So I still kind of like Missouri State in this one. All of those things considered, but just you got to look at these opt-outs just to see what's going on, man, because there's just a lot of crazy things happening in the age of the transfers and the NIL and whatever. By the way, really, really hilarious running back name on, if you watched the game last night for Louisiana, what was his name again? Their running back's name is Lunch something. I'm like, oh my, this guy's name is Lunch? What the fuck? I think it's a nickname. It's still absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I can look it up real quick here. Lunch Winfield. Yeah, that was his name. Crazy. Yeah, ridiculous name, dude. Lunch. All right, whatever. Yeah, Justin's going to be the Frisco kid. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, dude. They wanted to be there, baby. Old Dominion was so motivated to win that game that their backup, he was already their backup quarterback because unfortunately their starting quarterback chose to opt out of the game and wasn't there. Joseph, he's transferring to, I forget, I don't know if he's decided where he's transferring yet, but he was gone. So then Old Dominion's quarterback, Gaston Moore, I guess is his name. Yeah, he got concussed and then he still played because I was like, well, fuck it. It's the last game of the season. Dude, that is badass. You got to give it to him. Gaston Moore, he had a pretty good game last night. Yeah, hell yeah. I appreciate that amount of masculinity, man. He's got balls. And, dude, his name is Gaston, Gaston is actually the good guy in Beauty and the Beast, man. Like, give me a break. Dude, everybody wants you to believe like that he's the villain because, he's this hyper masculine. You got to be against hyper masculinity. No, fuck that. Like in real life, do you think Belle, do you think the pretty lady would wind up with the fucking hideous monster, the beast? Fuck no. The woman is going to be with the masculine protector archetype there, Gaston, the sexy man. Gaston is actually the protagonist of Beauty and the Beast. I'll just throw that out there. So Gaston Moore. There you go, baby. Thank you, Jeffrey. Yes, I do have a play in the NFL game, though, so hopefully you catch that. I'm going to talk about it basically right now. Oh, shit, you're right. Gaston was South Florida. Dude, I don't even know. I don't know who the backup quarterbacks are. I just knew the starting quarterbacks were out. Well, he played well, all right. I like his name. Anyway, my apologies. Who was Old Dominion's quarterback then? Let's take a look. My apologies to whoever it was. Oh, Nico Grammatica, apparently a kicker for South Florida, by the way. He must be related to Martin Grammatica. Is that his son or something? Dude, all of Old Dominion's touchdowns were rushing touchdowns. Yes, I told you they were going to run the football. Hennicle, weird name. Hennicle, is that how you pronounce it? That's a name that doesn't sound that good. Quinn Hennicle, all right, you got to give it to him, man. He's got Quinn testicles, all right? Yeah, that guy. I like Gaston Moore's more masculine name better, but yeah, Quinn Hennicle. There you go. He's actually a dual threat quarterback too, because apparently he ran the football. I think he had at least one of the rushing touchdowns too, so hand it to him as well. He's the new Jackson Dart, right? He's out there running the fuck out of the football, taking all these hits, getting concussed, not giving a shit. There you go. Quinn Hennicle. My apologies. All right. NFL, we do have a play in the NFL game, all right? So, yes, I do worry, again, about this late movement on Arkansas State, though. Like, I have to figure out who I'm going to pick in the bowl madness and whatever. Of course, in the confidence game, I'm not going to have this game at a high confidence value. I'll tell you that right now. Delaware, unfortunately, was not a high confidence for me either. But, yes, so and that game is straight up and not against the spread. So I do a lot better against the spread. But we will see what I wind up. It's going to be a tough game for me to pick. I'm going to watch the market all day and see what the market does, because that market is all over the place. NFL, we do have a play. I like this play. We're actually going to fade the public in this one, too. So here's the NFL play. We have an NFL play right away. Mr. Thursday Night, back at you, baby. We are overall on my spread leans. This is now week 16. What are we now? We're 12-2-1 is what we are, I think, on the NFL Thursday night games now. On the spread, 12-2-1. On the actual plays I've given out, I think we're 4-1 now. Let's make it 5-1, and we're going to be on the Seattle Seahawks tonight. Huge game, Rams-Seahawks. This is the first Thursday night game in Thursday night history that involves two teams facing off that both have 11 wins or more. So there is that. This is a huge game with, divisional implications. Both teams are probably going to make the playoffs, but it is big as far as the division is concerned. Now, as far as that's concerned, the Seahawks need the game more, which I know I don't love playing on a team that needs it, but both teams are going to want this game and show up for it. But, of course, we know the Rams already won the first matchup at home, which I'm going to talk about that as part of the handicap in a minute. But that means that Seattle really can't afford to lose this game, man. If they want to win the division, they'll still make the playoffs. But if they want to win the division, they got to get this game, man, to even themselves up with the Rams again. And if the Seahawks win, they'll be in first place again in the division, because the teams are tied record-wise. The Rams have the tiebreaker because the Rams beat the Seahawks. So now, if the Seahawks get that game back, then they're going to take the lead again, and they'll have a one-game lead as well, and the tiebreaker will be even. And then I don't know who has the tiebreaker. I don't know what it falls to next. I think it's like conference records, so I don't know who owns that. But the game definitely means more to the Seahawks here, man. They're going to have to get this game. Now, the Rams are public, 60% of the tickets and only 51% of the cash. Seahawks have moved up a little bit from a pick 'em to a 1.5. I think that's fine. If you can find a good money line price on this, you can play the money line on Seattle as well. Obviously, there's not much of a difference laying the 1.5, although there is a slight possibility they win by 1, which hopefully doesn't happen here. Now, the Rams are going to be the public side here. Everybody's recency bias. I mean, people know the Rams already beat Seattle, but then look at what the Rams did the last 2 weeks. They annihilated Arizona, which, people aren't going to put that much weight into that, but still, they looked really good. And then what did they do last week? They beat Detroit. Big win. Everybody knows the Lions are good, and they won in a high-scoring shootout of a game, 41-34. So now you have the Rams coming off a good-looking win, a big win. That was one of the high-profile games of last week, and the Rams have scored 40-plus points in 2 straight games. The public's going to be all over that. They love the offense like that, man. And yeah, obviously the Rams have the better offense here, but I think the Seahawks have the better defense. So there is that. Obviously, I do think the Rams are the better team. The odds makers are telling you they're the better team because the Seahawks are not getting full home advantage here, but I don't think it's that significant. And again, the Rams look too good over the last couple weeks. Now they got to go back out on the road. They're playing a 3rd road game in 4 weeks, so this travel is kind of ridiculous for the Rams, where they were out on the East Coast against Carolina, lost that game, came back into Arizona, then they came back home into LA. Now they're going up the coast to Seattle, so a lot of travel here for LA. They play Atlanta next on Monday night is what I was looking at there. LA has a lot of travel here. And by the way, the travel's even worse because I don't know if you saw the news, but LA's plane was delayed due to mechanical issues. I don't know what's going on. They flew up to Seattle last night, so they really don't have a whole lot of time to adapt to Seattle here now. So that's bad as well. That their flight was delayed, so that kind of hurts their prep time a little bit. Although I know they've been practicing all week in LA before they traveled up here, but I still don't love that. The flight was delayed, so they're like a few hours delayed here getting in. They got in, I think, at like 9 p.m. last night, which is not good. The prior week, by the way, Sean McVay took a separate flight because he was sick. Or actually, it might have been the week going to Arizona. I forget. But there was one week where he took a separate flight from the team because he was sick. McVay was probably one of those guys wearing a mask during COVID. Pussy. Anyway, let's not get this thing nuked here. But yes, so that's all bad too. Then we also have to take into account the fact that this is an outdoor December game. What are the Rams, man? The Rams play in a dome. Matthew Stafford has been a dome quarterback for basically his whole career. And yes, I know Sam Darnold played in a dome last year or whatever, but he's at least more used to playing in this environment because he's on Seattle now. But we're looking at an outdoor game here, and it is going to be cold and rainy, or at least cool and rainy. Although actually, according to the weather, it looks like it might not rain. Now, I was hearing that it was going to be rain. It's at least cloudy. It looks like it's going to be 51. So I guess it's not horrible conditions here, but I heard there is definitely the potential for rain. I think that that's more beneficial to Seattle. The Rams, less of an outdoor team, so that is a factor at the very least, I think. Now, we also have to take into account what happened to Seattle last week. Nobody's going to want Seattle after what they did last week. And I told you I thought the Colts would cover the game, and they almost won the game outright. So nobody's going to want Seattle after what they did last week. They almost lost at home to Indianapolis against Phillip Rivers. I mean, that's crazy, dude. That was a horrible game for Seattle. They got no touchdowns in the game. Sam Darnold has been bad for like 5 weeks in a row. Or 6 even. And I know Sam Darnold, I know he was bad against the Rams as well, which I'll talk about in a minute. The Rams do have his number, so you do have to worry about that a little bit. I think Darnold is not that good, but I think we're going to rely on the situation. We're going to rely on, the process here, and we're going to rely on, just the handicapping process. We're going to rely on Seattle's defense to get us this as well, and the motivation. But again, Seattle, they looked horrible last week, winning 18-16. You know why the public is all over the Rams. The Rams scored over 40 points in a shootout win over the pretty good Detroit Lions, whereas the Seahawks almost lost at home to an injury-plagued Colts team. I mean, that is pretty bad. But again, I liked the Colts a lot in that game. They made my pick 5 entry, my money entry. And it was so bad that Indy had the game almost won. Indy had kicked a 60-yard field goal to retake the lead late in the game in the final minute, and then Seattle had to kick a 56-yard field goal to win the game. So there was a real possibility Seattle was going to lose that game. That's crazy. They were able to get into field goal range in 30 seconds, too, and kick a ridiculously long field goal. All of that is insane. So, again, nobody's going to want Seattle off of how bad that performance was, but I do. And then again, nobody's going to want Seattle because they already lost to the Rams at LA, but they lost 21-19. But look at what happened in this game, man. Seattle dominated this game statistically. They outgained the Rams in this game 414 to 249. And the key thing here is that Seattle's defense really held the Rams in check. And that's what we're going to go on here, man, because I don't think Sam Darnold is that good. He was really bad in this game, turnover-wise, but Seattle moved the football in this game again, so this was a very misleading result, so I like that. When you see that first matchup and you dig into the box score and it wasn't what the final score told you it was, 26-12 first down advantage for Seattle in that game. Possession 37 minutes to 22 minutes, basically, so Seattle dominated all of the main statistical categories in this game, so again, the score wasn't what it looked like, and that was all because Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions in the game. He was an absolute pumpkin in the game, and I know Sean McVay with his defense, he's able to stifle Sam Darnold. He did it last year in the playoffs, which, by the way, was a win for us on the show last year. We had the Rams against the Vikings in the playoffs last year. That was my short is still up on the channel. That was my chiropractic bet where I was laying on the floor with a back injury when I did that video. That's still up on the YouTube channel right now. But anyway, yeah, I do worry about the fact that, the Rams defense, Sean McVay, he knows how to stop Sam Darnold here. But, I mean, outside of the interceptions, Darnold really outplayed Stafford in the game. The Seahawks can kind of rely on the rushing attack as well. So, I think he'll have a better game this time. I think he'll at least make fewer mistakes this time. So, yes, we are going to go with, that's what we're going with. We're going with Seattle here, and it is really weird that the total plummeted from 47.5 to 42.5. I don't know why. Like, there's no major injury here, except the Rams are going to be without Devontae Adams, so I believe he's not playing in this game. He's one of their best receivers, but that is not going to drop the total 5 points, so I don't really know what the deal is with this total dropping like this, unless this was like a look ahead or something, but it might be because of the weather, because they're expecting rain, but I think the total's an overreaction. 80% of the tickets and 68% of the cash on the over. I would actually lean towards the over, though, at this low number of 42.5, lower number. Again, we saw these teams play a 21-19 game the first time, and even though I think the defenses are pretty good, if it is raining and it's a slick surface, I think that makes the defenses worse because they can't react right away. And that game was misleadingly low scoring, right? Because you saw the Seahawks, at the very least, move the football in that game. They just didn't convert it to points because they turned it over so much. So there might be some value looking towards an over in this game as well. However, the pushback on that would be that on the Thursday night games, so you have to gauge the quick turnaround time on Thursday night. And I always talk about this. On Thursday night, teams have a short prep time, right? So they have to prepare for the game in a shorter period of time. Now, it's easier to do that when you're a divisional opponents like they are here. So the teams know each other, so they know how to defend against each other. So it's easier to prepare for a divisional opponent. Usually the home team has a big advantage on Thursday night, and I know we're going with the home team here. And Seattle doesn't have to travel. They're staying at home, so there is still some advantage for Seattle there. But they don't have, like, the biggest advantage because the Rams obviously play at Seattle every year. So it makes it a little bit easier for the Rams, but I still don't think it's enough to not go with the Seahawks here. But as far as the total is concerned, yes, because both defenses know the offenses that they're facing here. That does mean that a lot of times these divisional Thursday night games are lower scoring. So that is a pushback on what I just said. So I don't want to do anything with the total, obviously, in this one. But yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say about it, man. Seahawks are the play. Starting early with the NFL there. That's the play here. 2-hour show today. Once again, all the plays today. College basketball, we're on Louisiana plus the points. Hockey, we're on the Blue Jackets on the money line. The Rangers on the money line. NBA, really ugly. Pelicans and Wizards both plus the points. NFL, we're on the Seahawks, either minus the 1.5 or whatever, or if you can find a -1, that's good as well, or a good money line price. Do any of it, man. That's what we're going to go with here. I appreciate everybody. Zach, what's up again, man? You thought it was awesome that Henicle stayed out there. Yeah, Tentacle? Why? Oh, you did the same thing, but yeah, not in a college bowl game. Yeah, it's badass at the very least. The Chiefs fans are all crying. Yeah, I'm not sad about it. And that was one of my season win totals my 3 favorites that I gave out on my season win total show before the season were Washington on the under, that already won. Kansas City on the under. I think that is a winner now already as well. Washington won really early. And then I had San Francisco over, and they only need one more win, I think, to hit that. So I think all three of them are going to win. San Francisco, how many wins do they have right now? 9 or 10? They need to get to 11. It has to go to 11 for that one to hit, but we'll see if that happens. But yeah, my season win total is looking good, man, as far as those are concerned. So that's going to do it. They're at 10 right now. So San Francisco, it was at 10.5. I said go over the 10.5. So San Francisco only needs one more win to get there, which is highly likely. So hopefully, that one gets there as well. Plus, I thought San Francisco would win the division, which is not going to happen. I'm shocked that Seattle is where they are right now. I thought it was going to be between the 49ers and the Rams. But, yeah. And I said those two teams, but not Seattle, would make the playoffs. I said it would be 49ers and Rams out of that division in the playoffs. Looks like it's going to be all three of those teams, but we will see. That's going to do it. I appreciate it, guys. Learn to Toad on Twitter. I got subscriptions over there now. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe, reply on the YouTube channel here. That helps me out. Listen on audio, Spotify, Apple. Give me a good review over there. That helps me out as well. Covered in Uke is my ukulele cover channel on YouTube. You can check that out as well. Patreon.com/LearnToToad. Bonus Uke content there. Loser cast, you can check that out. There's going to be a loser cast tonight too, but I can't do it if it's at the time that Leighton wants to do it, because it's blame Adam Nutter, dude, because Adam Nutter, he can't stay up late because he's an old man, even though I'm older than he is and Tyler is older than he is. I don't know what Adam is doing, but he can't do the Thursday night 10 p.m. or Tuesday night 10 p.m., excuse me. So there's going to be some Thursday night 7 p.m. version of Loser Cast, and it's going to be without me, so enjoy that one, I guess, tonight, whatever. So if they do it later, I will be on it, but we'll see. But check out the Loser Cast anyway. It's the Roundtable Loser Nomination Comedy Show that I'm on. And then the Giants podcast with Ben, the G-Spot, should be starting at some point. I know I keep mentioning it. It will begin. All right, well, let's just put it that way. We're going to do it. That's going to do it for me for now. Have a good day, everybody. Let's get some wins again. Dude, Action Network tells you how many days in a row you've won. We're on a 10-day win streak here on the show again here, so we're staying hot at the end of the season, man. We have had a winning year on this show and then some. It looked like it was going to be a losing year. It would be only my third ever, and one of them was last year. This year is not going to be a losing year anymore, though. There's almost no chance of it at this point. We're actually significantly up on the year this year, so it's been good, man. So thanks for hanging out. Tell everybody about it. Let's keep winning on the show. And, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with the Friday show. Peace.